Once in a while, Amazon will make a deal with another company that, well, it's great for them and it's bad for small sellers, and that's by design. And their recent deal with Apple is also designed to screw the middleman and you, of course. Hey everyone, this is Kevin the Apptrepreneur, and let me share a little story before we get into the main crux of what this is about, because I think it's relevant. In about 2014, that's when this movie came out, by the way, Amazon was renegotiating fees for physical media. Basically, Amazon makes deals with companies that they will buy a certain amount of stock for a certain price, and that's just how they've been working. And if they don't come to that arrangement, they simply will not buy the stock. Now, I have criticized this method of doing business for a long time. Not necessarily on this channel, but in private. This is one of my biggest issues I have with them. That basically, whenever Amazon wants to sell for a price and the companies say no, Amazon says, okay, we just won't sell your product. Which, in a sense, is legal. They don't have to sell things they don't want to. But the point is, they are specifically not selling it to hurt the publisher, the manufacturer, whoever it is, because they know that they sell so many items that if they say no to selling something, guess what? That person's going to suffer. Well, in 2014, there was some, contract negotiations up for like Disney, Warner Brothers, and other studios. If I recall recently, Warner Brothers, who made this movie, and there's a reason I'm using this movie, the Lego movie, which is awesome, by the way, as an example, is because rumor has it that Warner Brothers was the first to cave. Amazon wanted a very, very small price for the DVDs and Blu-rays, or else they wouldn't sell it. And by the way, they had this Prime service that they were developing, so, everything's going digital anyway, so you want to take our deal or go. The companies resisted, but I think Warner Brothers was, at least from what I hear, and this is, I can't substantiate it, but this is just what I remember off the top of my head. Warner Brothers was the first to come to the table and say, okay, you've got your deal, but you have got to kill the used DVD market. The used DVD market is screwing us. And the way it's screwing them is like, say, they're selling this for $24. I buy this, in theory, don't want it anymore. That's definitely hard to believe, but, continue. And I sell it for like $4. And what's the customer going to buy? Are they going to buy my used $4 copy or the brand new $24 copy? And Amazon pretty much agreed. Now, the reason I'm using this movie is because this actually came as part of a bigger package. At this point, Blu-ray 3D was kind of starting to fail, and Warner Brothers was trying to find a way to continue to keep the format alive while making money. And they put it in this special package that had like a giant Lego head, a little miniature Morgan Freeman wizard Lego piece, and the Blu-ray 3D. And it was like for $50. But it was going to be a limited quantity item. So I actually bought several of them with the intent of selling these discs on Amazon. And discs are a huge part of my business. I sell a lot of out-of-print movies, a lot of Criterion collections, especially rare anime. As much as people say that physical media is dying, you know what? When your product isn't on a streaming service, guess what? The physical media is very valuable at that point. And by the way, I've even included to Blu-ray 3Ds because they make so few of these that you get a few copies and you're bound to sell them for a markup at some point. Well, I came to the rude awakening with a letter from Amazon basically announcing that DVDs and Blu-rays would be restricted from that point on because you need special approval. And this was part of their concentrated effort to knock the third-party sellers off from selling movies. And they extended to CDs at some point, even though it's like, you need special permission to sell CDs? I mean, what? So I kind of felt firsthand what this kind of negotiating contract can actually do to a third-party seller. And Amazon is one of the things I tell people, when people say, well, why do you sell on Amazon if you don't like them so much? The unfortunate reality, that's almost like saying you're going to set up shop in New York and you don't want to be in Times Square. Yeah, you might hate it. You might hate the crowd. You might hate the tourists. You might hate the lights. You might hate being there on New Year's Eve. Guess what? You want to be there because that's where money is. Yeah, your store over in Rochester will definitely make money, but it won't make nearly the amount of money that Times Square will make you. And I just got kicked out of Times Square. And apparently a lot of other people who sell Apple products do too. So, Apple Insider, which is a site I've never used before, but we're going to look at two sources on this one, says Apple's deal to sell on Amazon directly is crushing small resellers by design. So, the deal cemented in November brought all of Apple's late 2018 devices to Amazon, such as the iPhone XR, iPad Pro, and Apple Watch Series 4. Many resellers were almost immediately cut out of the loop. Terms of the Apple-Amazon agreement mean that resellers must either be authorized by Apple or buy at least $2.5 million in refurbished inventory every 90 days, which I'm going to take a wild guess, that's not a whole lot of people. The latter must come directly from Apple or through a third party with over $5 billion in annual sales, typically meaning carriers and national retailers. By definition, that excludes many small resellers that did their business primarily through Amazon. Until recently, they were able to take advantage of Amazon's easy discovery and large logistics network. The situation has also resulted in inflated prices for used Apple gear, if often backed by refurbishment and warranties. Quote, people going onto Amazon now are getting the impression that a low-end used MacBook costs $700 instead of $200, said one reseller, John Bumstill. And you know what? I'm going to even expand upon that. And I'm going to, I was going to use a Backstreet Boys album, but it's their new one, so I don't know if that would actually work. So let's talk about the Rent soundtrack. The Rent soundtrack. This is a pretty popular CD. A lot of people own it. Here's the thing. So many people own this that don't want copies anymore. The value of this is probably $1 to $3. But if you go to Amazon, you have to be an authorized seller to sell a CD. So most authorized sellers do not sell CDs for $2, they sell for $10. And that gives the impression that this is worth $10, when really, when you go to most places, you just pay a couple dollars. That is definitely one of the disadvantages to these types of deals, and people who are buying Apple products are finding this out. Now, Amazon is even said to be cracking down on vendors selling products Apple no longer makes. One example is Jim Ilardi's Pirate PT Electronics, which refurbishes iPod classics with new shells, batteries, and SSDs. And boy, the iPod Classic is one of the few Apple products I really like. And I keep flirting with the idea of getting an iPod Touch, but it doesn't have as much memory as the iPod Classic. It's not as nice to use, so I really like the iPod Classic. Ilardi is no longer allowed to list on Amazon, which generated some 95% of the $1.2 million he earned in the past decade. Instead, he's relying on the trinity of an Etsy page, an eBay account, and his own website, which is pretty much what you should have anyway. Even though I am on Amazon, getting kicked off of Amazon or having them do one of these crazy rules all of a sudden is something that is a constant threat. So you just kind of have to act as if you're going to eventually get kicked off and have other ways to support yourself. But still, once you get kicked off Amazon, it's really hard to recover financially. Compounding the situation for people like Bumstead is that Macs with Apple's T2 chip has the ability to block many unauthorized repair, but at present it does not do so. However, should the feature be enabled, it may be hard or impossible for third parties to refurbish computers in the future, because Apple is actively fighting right to repair legislation in the US that would require it to offer parts and instructions. Oh yeah, they don't want you to repair it yourself. I mean, if the thing breaks, they want you to just buy a new one. Like why would you fix it? Fix it? What is this word? It doesn't work anymore. Buy a new one. What do you want us to do with this? I'm sorry. Fix it? What's that again? That's what Apple wants to do. So, yeah. It doesn't surprise me at all that they would benefit from basically hindering a third-party seller's ability to resell their products. Beyond just sales and forcing out third parties, there's a matter of sales data exposed. This applies not to just third parties, but to Apple itself. Quote, you're exposing sales data, margin data, units sold, reason for return. You're exposing a lot of your trade secrets when you sell as a first party on Amazon, Forrester analyst Sucharita Kodali told The Verge. It's suspected that this is why the deal deliberately excluded the HomePod. Amazon could have used Apple data to improve sales of its Echo speakers. It could, however, be that Amazon insisted the HomePod be kept out. I mean, I think there's an advantage for Amazon to either sell it or not sell it. If they sell it, yes, I think they would probably require some of that data be made available to them because Amazon just does things like that. But to keep the HomePod off the website means that Amazon can push you towards their Echo devices, which is, by the way, one of the reasons I believe these tech companies have to be split up. There is something inherently very, very dangerous about a company that makes the products and has the biggest website to sell products. There's a lot of people who are finding out that if Amazon wants to make an item, that pretty much means that's the one that's going to get highlighted. Everyone else is going to get shifted, and people typically buy the first thing they see. Now let's go to the Verge article real quick, because I have this really sinister picture that you probably saw in the thumbnail. Apple and Amazon cut a deal that upended the Mac resale market. Yep, there it is. And look, John Bumstead is here again. When John Bumstead looked at his listing for his products on Amazon.com in early January, he was waiting for the guillotine to fall. Guillotine? I don't know how to pronounce that, sorry. A small online business owner from Minneapolis, Minnesota, Bumstead specializes in refurbishing and selling old MacBooks, models he typically buys from recyclers and fixes up himself. But on January 4th, Bumstead's entire business dwindled into non-existence as his listings were removed from the platform due to a new policy limiting all but the largest companies and specialty authorized provider from selling Apple products. Quote, you'd go to your current items, your inventory items, and just watch them disappear that morning. I pretty much had all my inventory, but as the day went on, you could see them dwindle down to 2 or 3 listings as they took them away. And this Verge article, which I'm not going to read because I think the Apple Insider one summed it up perfectly for us, but look at this. This is some of the stuff. He had all this inventory. Look at this inventory. He has a business. By the way, this is what one of my rooms looks like. There's just DVDs, books, video games, music CDs. Like, my friends love it because when it comes time for like their birthday or Christmas, a lot of them I just say, hey, come into the room and pick up a gift that's worth up to $25, and they look through and they're like, is this worth $25? Is this worth it? And sometimes, like, if it's like a really expensive item, they'll say, well, can you take $25 off this and I'll buy it? And I mean, that's definitely nice when it happens to me, but that's not, the point I'm trying to make. But I know what this looks like. This is his business. He was selling all this stuff. And now Amazon just took it away. By the way, here's another funny thing, because some people might be watching this right now. It's like, well, Kevin, like, what do you really care? I mean, okay, so they stopped telling you about the videos. Like, you can't sell your precious little physical media. That's going away. It's not like, this was ever going to affect you. And that's not true. This could have easily affected me, because one year I sold refurbished iPads on Amazon. And that year in particular, some of the out of print models, you would say, were actually selling for a lot of money because people wanted them, because Apple, adds a feature and then they take a feature away that people like. So people want the old model sometimes. That's why the iPhone 6 is still the most popular iPhone, because of the headphone jack, despite the fact that apparently nobody wants those. Well, I had like a very good winter selling those. I made thousands of dollars, but ultimately decided it wasn't worth it because people ultimately didn't understand the difference between new and refurbished, or they'd get it and they wanted the black one. They didn't realize they bought the white, or they thought it had more memory. Basically, even though I sold a lot of them, the complaints were so bad that it was just not worth doing it again. But hey, let's say history had changed a little bit. Let's say I decided that Apple products were still worth selling and I was still selling to this day. Maybe I start to have a room that looks just like this, and then one day Amazon just takes it away. Much like they took away my very, very lucrative collectible anime DVD and Blu-ray items. which now sell on eBay. They still sell on eBay, and for a good amount of money too, but not as frequently as they did on Amazon. So this is the damage Amazon does. Look at that little smile. That little smile. I want to give you the finger so bad, but it's a family-friendly channel. And this is him. Yeah, seems like a nice guy. And here, yeah. And by the way, he looks like right here because they stopped letting him sell iPods, and it's like iPods, on the other hand, no longer exist, except in the form of the iPod Touch and refurbished or used models. My product was sunsetted. They actually got rid of it. Why would that matter to Apple and Amazon? They've gone out of business because they want people to buy the new products. I mean, it doesn't matter how much people say they want the headphone jack back, and the sales of the iPhone 6 prove people really like that headphone jack. Apple doesn't care. It's like, nope, this is the new phone. This is the way of the future. By the way, that's also going to cost $200 for a pair of Beats headphones. I hate Apple and Amazon. And the fact that they're working together is especially bothersome. And, you know, situations like this, I kind of wonder, why doesn't this get looked at more often? Why isn't this looked at more often? There's got to be some antitrust laws in here somewhere. But I know people say, well, they're selling, it's their platform, they can do whatever they want. It's like, but your platform covers 50% of the world's sales. That's got to count for something. There has to be something in there where it's like, hey, you know what? You can sell whatever you want, but I swear to God, Uncle Sam's got to say, I swear to God, Amazon, if you take away your items specifically during contract negotiations, and then you make deals, and then you kick off third-party sellers whose livelihood depend on this because you're so big you're almost a utility, you know what? We find that fishy. So anyway, this story just really, really pissed me off because again, I've got experience with that one. This is a really, really good movie, by the way. I might watch this afterwards. I could use a laugh after this. So anyway, that's where I'm going to end this one. Sorry that this was much longer than I intended to be. I really went off on that one. Oh, well, I guess everyone needs something to listen to when they're at the gym, right? But anyway, I'd like to know, what do you guys think about it? Do any of you even care about this? I would love to know. So, comment below, like, favorite, share, subscribe. If you enjoy my videos, consider becoming a Patreon member. It's totally optional, of course, but even so, $1 goes a long way to helping the channel run smoothly and get access to my Patreon exclusive blog. By the way, David, thank you for becoming a Patreon member. Your name is now in the end credits. And if gas prices are getting you a little down, check out the Get Upside app below. It's totally free, but you get cash back on every gas purchase. Check us out at the Apptrepreneur vlogs. We're trying to put daily content up the best that we can. Kind of been failing this week, but we're going to get back on that next week. And if you want to talk to me or someone else, check us out at the Apptrepreneur Hangouts on Facebook. And as always, flame responsibly. Have a good one.